through Irish broadcaster RTE. Breaking: EU and UK negotiators have agreed a text on how to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland, which will form part of the withdrawal agreement. Ends. Well, of course, we knew, didn't we, that 95% of this withdrawal agreement had already been sorted out. It was just this question over the Irish border. What I'm told is there'll be a series of annexes and protocols, legalese, basically conventions that will need to be followed to make sure that there will not be a hard border. What I don't yet know, and no one knows, is whether there'll be something written into the body of this text which would make it absolutely legally binding and may well have some sort of non-compliance clause within it on the United Kingdom. So that's the one thing at the moment that we don't yet know. My guess is, knowing the way the European Union do things, that it will be written into the body of the text. The immediate reaction that I've had here in Strasbourg from other group leaders and people I've met in the corridors is they're all very, very happy. This very pro-EU institution is very, very happy indeed. They think this is a great deal for the European Union, and indeed it takes the pressure off, they think, ahead of the European elections, which take place between the 23rd and the 26th of May next year. I'll give you my view on what I think of this deal in a moment, but I'm going to go to Theo Usherwood, LBC's political editor, who's going to tell us about the comings and goings in Downing Street. Theo, good evening.
Good evening. I've actually just popped down from Downing Street into Central Lobby in the Palace of Westminster, where there is a number of Conservative and Labour MPs are here trying to get pointed across about Brexit negotiators and Union.
I tell you what, Theo, the line is rubbish. Let's get you back on the line in a few moments' time, because we really, really can't hear you. So, as I say, what I'm getting from this is that one by one, the cabinet ministers are being called in to meet the Prime Minister, and I guess that's a great way of applying pressure. There's going to be a cabinet meeting tomorrow to approve this. It's a bit like the Chequers plan, because it kind of gets presented to the cabinet, well, we've agreed this. So, of course, you're going to agree it too. Boris Johnson has just been on Sky News, and following what he wrote in the Telegraph yesterday, he's urging resignations. He's saying that now is the time, and actually over the course of the next few weeks, yeah, it absolutely is the time. I think this deal is a shocker, because let's just think about it. We're promising to give away £39 billion, but with an extra year's extension, that could well be getting on towards £60 billion. We are going to be accepting in some form, don't quite know exactly yet, but some jurisdiction from the European Court of Justice based in Luxembourg. There'll be nothing, and I mean nothing, done about open door migration in the short term. We'll be staying part of the customs union, and it's going to be legally very difficult to see how we get out of all of this, because we've given away all this money and we've made all these concessions on the hope that we can now negotiate a new trade deal. But what if they say, do you know what, we're a bit busy for the next couple of years, we can't really be bothered? I think this is the worst deal in history. I think we're behaving like a nation that's been defeated and surrendered and is suing for good peace terms. That is how I feel about this. Can we get Theo Usherwood back on the phone? No, not yet. We will. Okay. I tell you what, let's just ask you what you think. I think this is the worst deal in history. But if you think, no, Nigel, you're wrong, this is the right way forward, it keeps frictionless trade, call 0345 6060 973. Maybe you think, well, she's conceded a bit of ground, but at least we're making progress. Text to 84850. Let me know your opinions by tweeting using the hashtag Farage and LBC, at LBC, and of course, Facebookers, you can comment too. Let's go to John, who's a new caller from Daventry. John, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the call, Nigel.
Not a bit.
Big fan of yours, big supporter. Thank you for all the hard work you've done on this.
Well, I didn't do it for this, John, I can tell you.
Well, no, I appreciate that, and I'm a Brexiteer, but I'm absolutely exasperated with the lack of vision and leadership, really, that Theresa May has shown through this process. I don't think there ever was a good deal to be had. I don't think there was a deal at all, never mind a good one. I think, Barnier had an agenda. He's got a project there which he wants to nurture, and I just wish he'd have just been more stronger and said, look, we're going to go away. I personally would have backed a no deal, a World Trade Organisation
deal,
type of deal. I mean, we could do so much in the UK with that £41 billion, couldn't we? We could have had if she'd have had the vision, we could have had a financial stimulus to help our NHS, to help our businesses. We could have thought about, a temporary reduction in VAT, all sorts of things to give our economy the boost.
John, we could even have invested in our own people to make sure we have enough nurses and engineers and all the rest of it in our country. There's loads of things that we could have. I mean, John, your view, your hunch. Do you think the Cabinet will approve this, or do you think there'll be mass resignations and within 24 hours a government in deep crisis?
Oh, I'm convinced there will be mass resignations. Because I haven't seen anything in the last 2 years that's given me any confidence that Theresa May has done anything other than say,
right,
in front of her, what the audience she has, she says what they want to hear, and she contradicts herself so many times. She just hasn't shown me the guile or the leadership really to say, no, we can do better. I believe in the UK. The UK people can do better than this, and we'll.
All right. So you think, John, the Cabinet will start to resign tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately, I do.
All right. No. Don't apologise for it. Don't apologise for it. Boris will be listening to you right now, John, saying, go on, John, good man, thank you. I'm off to Poole to speak to Jackie, who's a new caller. Hi, Jackie.
Hello, Nigel. I just thought I'd tell you that there's a new law in the EU saying that there'll be bail-ins in the banks because they're short of money in all the countries, and some of the banks are going down. They haven't got enough money, and they might have to bail in all over Europe and also Australia. So,
we saw bail-ins with Cyprus, Jackie, didn't we? We saw Cyprus, we saw bail-ins, not bailouts.
That's right, and so they shouldn't be in a hurry to jump into Europe because I think it's all going to break up anyway soon.
We have
hang on a bit longer.
We have Mrs. Merkel today here, Jackie, and I'll talk about that at 6:30, giving us her vision for the future of Europe, which I don't think is very appealing. But Jackie, is there perhaps at least something to be said for the fact the Prime Minister has got a deal?
Maybe 10% of good and all the rest. But really, she should walk away and let's keep the money and not hand it out to Europe.
All right. Well, Jackie, that's fine. But do you think that the Cabinet and Parliament will go with that view, or will they back what I'm calling the worst deal in history?
I think it's going to hang on a bit longer and we're going to get a good deal. Bit of magic's going to happen.
I love that. Optimism from Poole. Thank you very much indeed. Jackie, Max in Grays texts me, by definition, any deal that the EU are prepared to agree must be a bad deal for us and a good one for them. Max, I've got to tell you, old son, they are very happy here in the European Parliament tonight in Strasbourg. I've no doubt that on this course, when it finally comes to the European Parliament for the real final deal, I'm sure they will support it. Kevin in Camden says, this is a tremendous start in thwarting Brexit. Let's keep going. Kevin, love the sarcasm, get what you're saying. Wonder what Richard in Manchester makes of all of this. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Nigel. I'm absolutely sickened by all this because I know all the effort you've put in. 17.4 million, this wonderful vote we had to come out of the EU. She's thrown it all away, and now she's coming at us at the midnight hour to say, I've done a deal. This deal you told us about, this is what would happen, 2 years ago. You said you could feel it going to be watered down.
I did say that, yeah.
Him going across there to negotiate on our behalf, and people like Lord Adonis coming on your radio show with Ian last night to say, me and my 3 million people who I've got backing me, I think it's a disgrace.
Richard, when the Prime Minister speaks about Brexit and the negotiations, and I've no doubt we'll hear this in the next 48 hours, she says the good news is we're taking back control of our laws, our money, and our borders. Do you believe her when she says that?
No. I think we should completely sell us out. The Taoiseach in Ireland, he will be a commissioner within 2 years, he will be a commissioner for delaying all this lot, because it's him, along with the Blairites and everything, who put the idea that the Irish people are going to rise up and we're going to have another war over in Ireland. It was all a scam, the whole lot of it, and I'm absolutely disgusted.
Richard, I think there are millions of people, I know there are millions of people that feel as you do. Is it your view that the Cabinet will accept this, and she's seeing them one by one? They're not quite using thumbscrews, but you know what I mean, the process that's going on this evening. Do you think they will go along with this for the sake of party unity and moving things forward and hoping that we can actually leave the treaties on March the 29th, or will they follow the calls from Boris and David Davis and others and reject this deal?
I hope they have the cojones of David Davis, who saw it all the way along the line and said, I don't want this anymore, and he got out.
Okay, Richard, we'll see. I have to say, I think to all those callers that are telling me that that they feel optimistic that the Cabinet will resign en masse, I have to say, folks, not what I think. I have been saying for weeks, I still think the majority percentage says to me that she gets this through Cabinet. She may lose one or two people, but she gets this through Cabinet, and I still think she will get it through the House of Commons. And I really, really hope I'm wrong, but that is, at the moment, what I think. Sue in Hayes text, Nigel, this will be the end of the Tories for decades. I hope they all have other jobs lined up, because they will need them. Sue, most of them will not have other jobs lined up. Most of them have never done a proper day's work in their lives. They're college kids. They've come straight in from university. These are the people that fill up parliaments now across the Western world and go in and form our governments. And that, I think, is why she will get this deal through. We have a careerists' parliament, and they will put their careers above everything. Goodness me, I hope I've got this desperately wrong. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. It's 6:15 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Members of Theresa May's cabinet are preparing to see her one by one tonight to read the draft Brexit agreement after Number 10 confirmed a deal's been reached with Brussels. Detectives in the Madeleine McCann inquiry have been given another £150,000 to continue their investigations into her disappearance until the end of March 2019. US news channel CNN is suing the Trump administration after it banned a journalist from press briefings. LBC weather, heavy rain and strong winds arriving in Northern Ireland and Scotland, drier elsewhere tonight, a low of 8 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Jay Louise Knight, and huge problems for the M20 in Kent. It's shut coastbound from Aylesford at 5 to Maidstone at 7 following a serious accident in the roadworks. Huge queues back to the M26. Still in Kent, and the A2 is heavy southbound towards the M25 after an earlier accident. The clockwise M25 in Surrey has delays of an hour from Reigate at 8 to Leatherhead at 9. Only 2 lanes are open because of an oil spillage, and the clockwise entry slip remains closed there as well. In East London, a lorry is broken down on the North Circular southbound at Barking Flyover, and in Glasgow there are long delays on the southbound M77 towards an earlier accident near 2 for Barhead Road.
This is LBC.
Right, so I've corrected that typo in the contract on page 3.
Perfect. I've had a read through everything else. It all looks good. Well done.
Great. I'll print a copy and put it on your desk to sign.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Shh, it's starting.
Sorry. Got to go.
Okay. Enjoy the show.
With all the technology your business needs to work flexibly, combined with the UK's largest Wi-Fi network, we'll help everything stay on track no matter where your working day takes you. Find out more at bt.com/LBC. BT, be there.
Where are we?
The New Forest.
But I thought we only had the Mini Countryman booked for a test drive. We can't stay here.
We're not going to.
This isn't exactly what I meant.
Relax. With Mini's new 48-hour test drive, you can use the Countryman for exactly what it's built for. Exploring. Plus, it's an SUV, the largest Mini in the range, so you can pack loads more in.
Great. Where next?
Well, you know how you've always wanted to try kayaking?
The Mini Countryman 48-hour test drive. Visit mini.co.uk to book yours. Mini. Who's in? Test drive subject to status and availability. Terms and conditions apply. Participating Mini retailers only.
Do you own fine wines? Then have your collection valued by the experts at the London Wine Cellar. Whether you're looking to sell that special bottle that's been tucked away, a large investment portfolio, or to restructure your cellar, we're here to help. We'll buy your wines hassle-free with a nationwide collection service and immediate payment terms. So whether you're looking to sell your collection or just find out what it might be worth, talk to the specialists at thelondonwinecellar.com.
Did you know that the elevators in the Shanghai Tower are the world's fastest? Or that Bruce Lee won the 1958 Hong Kong Cha-Cha Championship? And that you'll find more bicycles in Beijing than in Amsterdam. But here's the most amazing thing to know. With Lufthansa's attractive fares, you can fly to Asia from £389. Book by November 18th for travel starting from November 15th. Contact your travel agent or visit lufthansa.com. Conditions apply.
Say yes to the world. Lufthansa.
That whole pizza for 180 calories?
No, the label says 780 calories.
OK, where's the salad aisle?
At Boots Opticians, our team of optometrists are here to help you see things clearly. So, if like millions of others you're struggling to see close up, book your eye test in-store or at boots.com today. Boots Opticians, let's feel good. Customers eligible for a free eye test courtesy of the NHS may still be charged for eye tests carried out before the next recommended due date.
The biggest recorded marrow weighed 8.5 stone. You'd need a strong wheelbarrow for that. For a bit of veg, it's big. But it's not Euro Millions big. This Tuesday, it's a huge £32 million jackpot. Euro Millions, amazing starts here.
Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
This is LBC, live from Strasbourg, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Breakthrough in Brussels, and as regular listeners to this show know, I've always been predicting this. A deal has been done. They've reached agreement on the Northern Irish border. We wait to see the fine print of it, but we know the deal's been done. We know the Cabinet are being called in one by one to meet the Prime Minister in Downing Street ahead of a full Cabinet meeting tomorrow. And I'm asking you, is this the worst deal in history? Because I think it is. Or has she actually made some progress? Will the Cabinet accept it? Will there be mass resignations? I sadly don't think there will, and I really hope I'm wrong. I wonder what Jamie, a new caller from Nottingham, makes of it all. Good evening.
Right, Nigel, I'm just ringing up. I'm not surprised by this. I knew this was coming for months and months and months.
Yeah.
All with Theresa May's behaviour, all her lying, everything that she promised. And the worst lie that she told was when she stood up in Parliament and said, we're not going to have a border down the Irish Sea, and she's gone up a border. And this is why I genuinely don't think this is going to go through, because the DUP aren't going to support it. I can't see them supporting the budget. All the Remainers, they're all moaning now about Theresa May. I think they do now realise that the deal that we're getting now is worse than a no deal, even if they won't admit it in public.
Oh, yes. Yes, I think that's right. I think that's right.
I don't think they'll make that in public because people like you would then pick up on it. It's just, I would be apoplectic with rage, Nigel, if this just came out of the blue. I was thinking, oh, she's going to get a good deal, then she just came out with this. But I knew this was coming for ages and ages. What we need, Nigel, we need you back. We need you back in March. We need the phoenix to rise from the ashes. And I genuinely think, you know, UKIP, I don't know what to make of UKIP at the minute, but
well, I can tell you, Jamie.
Nigel.
Jamie, I can tell you that on the day that Angela Merkel calls for a full European army and active foreign policy, on the day that Theresa May gets her so-called deal and is calling in cabinet ministers one by one ahead of a really crucial 24-hour period, that the UKIP leader has sent out an email to all UKIP members saying he wants to have a referendum on whether Tommy Robinson joins the party. I'm not even going to tell you what I think about that because everyone knows. Jamie, thank you. I'm going down to Caterham now to speak to Elfie, a new caller. Good evening.
Oh, hi, Nigel. How are you?
I'm all right. So, come on, tell me she's made great progress with this and it's a good step forward.
Well, to be honest with you, Nigel, I don't think it's a fantastic deal and it's not one that I'm going to, praise her excessively for.
Right.
I'm wondering what your alternative actually is, because she's protected the union between Northern Ireland and Ireland. She's made it so that the Troubles aren't going to come back. And this £41 billion that you speak about, and how we could invest that in our own country, I'm not sure how that's even possible without a deal, considering that, a cabinet minister was seen with Whitehall papers heading into Downing Street a couple of weeks ago, saying that there was going to be more austerity measures imposed. So what is your alternative?
Well, Elfie, my alternative is the one that I've been campaigning for since I first gave a speech for UKIP, and that is going to be November 1993, all right? And what I said in that first speech, and I'm going to repeat it now, is I want us to have a simple free trade agreement with our European neighbours, the best possible relationships, reciprocity, but not membership of a political club. And I believe, Elfie, that is entirely possible. I certainly look at the trade deficit we have with countries like Germany, and I think if from the start we'd gone for it, we'd be okay. But let me tell you, Elfie, what happened here today. Mrs. Merkel, and I'll talk about the European Army later, but when it comes to Brexit and Mrs. May, Mrs. Merkel said, the UK has shown us, Theresa May, that they want to be a part of Europe. That's what we've been told today by Angela Merkel. They love Theresa May because it's not really Brexit at all. So, Elfie, we've been going for the wrong thing ever since that speech she gave in Florence. You know, a country that spent 30 years trying to opt out of bits of the European Union decided to start opting back in. So, Elfie, my answer to you is we should have gone for a simple free trade deal. And my answer to you is, failing that, we should have gone for WTO terms. We should have cut tariffs across the board, reduced prices for consumers, and save 40 billion.
Well, we're not going to save 40 billion, though, are we, Nigel? That's the point. You know, you're not in the cabinet, and the cabinet have said that if we do crash out of Europe without a deal, or, you know, if we wasn't able to get a deal, then there would be more austerity measures imposed.
Well, yeah, but...
Wait, Nigel, let me make my point.
Go on.
Philip Hammond has turned around, and he said that there are going to be more austerity measures, not in so many words, because that would be bad politics, but there's going to be an alternative budget should we crash out with a deal. We've got an ambitious budget that's just been made by the Chancellor. We can now go forward with that. And you're just repeating the same rhetoric, criticising Theresa May.
But hang on, we heard all this from George Osborne. We heard all this of George Osborne. If we voted Brexit, emergency budget.
Nigel,
so you
George
think
Osborne isn't in power anymore?
No, but he played the same trick. Elfie, you think she's got the best out of a bad situation, yeah?
I think so, and I think that you're just unfortunately repeating the same sort of rhetoric that you have been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I've been right. I've been right. I've been saying for 2 years she would sell out Brexit, and I think that's what she's doing. You think she's got the best out of a bad situation, and look, Elfie, you've made the point, and you've made it well. I'm sure you're not far from alone in thinking that. Thank you. I'm off down to Seaton in Devon to speak to Bill, who's a new caller. Hi, Bill.
Hello, Nigel. Yeah, I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions.
No. But Bill, the way it works is we debate points on LBC, and I'm asking you, is this the worst deal in history, or has she done something that actually is positive?
It's the worst deal in history, but this Irish border question, I'd just like to know, what's the problem with having a hard border in Northern Ireland? I've served in Northern Ireland, and yes. I know there's a hard border. It's not a hard border. There's 100 crossing points there. And if we have a hard border, what's the problem? Why aren't we having a hard border there? And we've got a deal.
Well, the term hard border, Bill, is one that, in our minds, conjures up an image, of the army with guns and of back to the bad old days, and that's what everybody wants to avoid. And ever since 1998, things have been markedly better there. What I don't understand, and I've never understood, Bill, is given we've already got a different currency both sides of the border, different excise duties, income tax rates, corporation tax rates, why us being outside the EU would make any difference? Because product specifications, we start off in the same place. Bill, I mean, frankly, I think the way they've used the Irish border is simply a hoax.
It is a hoax, yes, because if we get out of the EU, then Southern Ireland and England, they're going to have a hard border, aren't they? We haven't got a hard border now, or are we going to have a hard border between?
No, we're not going to.
So why,
no, we're not.
Why do we have to have one in between Northern Ireland?
Well, Bill, this is a question I've been asking for a long time, but this is the narrative that's been put up. It's been supported by the Irish government. It's been pushed hard by Monsieur Barnier, and Theresa May appears to have swallowed it, hook, line and sinker. There is no reason why we would need to return to the bad old days at all. Bill, thanks. Going to head down to Portsmouth, speak to Barbara, a new caller. Good evening, Barbara.
Good evening, Nigel.
So has she done a good job as far as you're concerned?
Well, I think it's the worst of the worst of the worst. But I have to say, I'm not surprised in the slightest. I think it's been game on all along, and I think it has been a game. I think she's worked hand in glove with the EU, and anyone with any sense, you know, the 17.4 million of us could see through that. I'm absolutely furious with her. And I'd just like to say that with regard to the Cabinet, I don't think for 1 minute that they will resign. You might get one or two, but that's all. I wrote to Penny Mordaunt in July when everything was going on, and she did actually have the courtesy to reply to me. I went along to one of your rallies here in Bournemouth.
Yeah, the other week I was down there, yeah.
Yes, you were, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I wrote to her. Well, actually, I didn't write to her then because I'd written to her 2 weeks before that. But have I got a reply? No. And her first reply was very ambiguous. And
I think, Barbara, you've got your reply today. And I think it's the deal. Barbara, frustrated. Is it the worst deal in history, Barbara?
Oh, absolutely the worst deal in history. Absolutely.
Good. Thank you. Well, look, I'm saying I don't think there'll be mass resignations, and I really hope I'm wrong. But within the last half an hour, asked if the government's days are numbered, Ian Duncan-Smith says, if this is the case, then almost certainly yes. Nick Watt of Newsnight makes a very interesting point. He says, I seem to remember the Cabinet being called into Number 10 one by one in November 1990. Don't remember it ending well. That was Mrs. Thatcher. And Sam Coates of The Times says, tonight the DUP have made it clear they are all but certain to vote it down, with the test being whether there are any GB Northern Irish checks at all. Parliamentary numbers for May now looking very bad. So, you know, I would expect amongst the journalistic world for there to be a massive speculation, but I've seen it all before. And more often than not, when these things come to the crunch in Parliament, they tend to be a bit of a damp squib. The rebellions seem to fade away. I hope in this case the rebellion stays strong. I doubt it, but I'm here, ready to be surprised. But please, anyone out there that thinks, and we had Elfie on from Caterham, if you think she's done the best she can, 0345 6060 973. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. It's now 6:30 and time for the news with Lisa Aziz.
Members of Theresa May's cabinet are preparing to see her one by one tonight to read through the draft Brexit agreement after Number 10 confirmed a deal's been reached with Brussels. Reports from Ireland say a text on the Irish border issue was completed last night. The Home Office has confirmed detectives in the Madeleine McCann inquiry have been given another £150,000 to continue their investigations until the end of March 2019. The then 3-year-old disappeared in Praia da Luz in Portugal in May 2007. The US news network CNN suing President Trump and several of his aides after their correspondent Jim Acosta had his access to the White House removed. He was banned after asking a question at a recent news conference when a staff member tried to grab the microphone from his hands. LBC weather: heavy rain and strong winds arriving in Northern Ireland and Scotland overnight. Drier though elsewhere with a low of 8 degrees.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast, LBC.
What a child at primary school need to learn about what it's like to be LGBT. Tom Rogers, education manager at the Safe at School campaign.
This is a very small minority, the establishment, trying to impose an ideological agenda on everybody's children.
Jordan Daly is co-founder of TIE campaign.
It's quite sad that there is someone also on the show who's kind of pushing these ideas.
Tom Rogers.
People who do go on to identify as LGBT as adults have worse mental health than the rest of the population. That is
my word.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 7, LBC.
OK, they're in the lift, on their way up. Are you ready to wow them?
Yep, laptop's connected up and client presentation is ready. Oh no, it's on the keyboard.
It's okay. I'll download the file from the cloud onto my laptop.
But they're expecting to see it now.
Relax. It's at 80% already. Talk about an elevator pitch.
When even your most demanding customers expect you to deliver, we'll help everything stay on track for your business with our fastest and most reliable connection ever. Find out more at bt.com/LBC. BT, be there.
Nothing to see here. Just a regular retriever eating his food.
chap doing his thing while you're out doing yours, not raiding the bin, and no little surprises left on the floor. What a good boy. Nothing to see here means nothing to worry about. With the Hive View smart indoor camera, check on your home from your phone, wherever you are, and join over 1 million people using Hive products. Search Hive to discover more. Hive. Let's get living. Hive services require broadband and Wi-Fi. Terms apply.
I'm Peter Jones, and I've been using Sage to help me manage my businesses since I was 19. Now, Sage Business Cloud helps me manage everything from money to people. Sage technology and support means making tax digital is really simple. So when people ask me, what's the secret of your success? I say it's about making wise choices. It's about being Sage.
Be ready for making tax digital today with Sage Business Cloud. Go to sage.com/MTD.
Where are we?
The New Forest.
But I thought we only had the Mini Countryman booked for a test drive. We can't stay here.
We're not going to.
This isn't exactly what I meant.
Relax. With Mini's new 48-hour test drive, you can use the Countryman for exactly what it's built for. Exploring. Plus, it's an SUV, the largest Mini in the range, so you can pack loads more in.
Great. Where next?
Well, you know how you've always wanted to try kayaking?
The Mini Countryman 48-hour test drive. Visit mini.co.uk to book yours. Mini. Who's in? Test drive subject to status and availability. Terms and conditions apply. Participating Mini retailers only.
Are you looking for that certain special someone? Someone to share life's big decisions with?
I am. I just don't know where to look.
Don't worry. At Experian.co.uk, we've helped thousands of people find happiness by introducing them to their data self.
I'm in love already.
Find out how your data self could help you make better financial decisions. Meet yours at Experian.co.uk today.
Hey, you're home. How's the cold been?
Actually, after a day of meetings, working through lunch, running a full press conference, and a delayed train home, it wasn't that bad.
Wow.
I know. I had Lemsip by my side.
When cold, flu, and chesty cough strikes, keep Lemsip Max all-in-one by your side. There's nothing faster or stronger. Lemsip, there for you. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label.
The Nigel Farage Show, live from Strasbourg, only on LBC.
Well, as we speak, the Cabinet, one by one, are filing into number 10, where Mrs May is talking to them about the deal that she's agreed in Brussels this afternoon ahead of a full Cabinet meeting tomorrow. And it's interesting, you know, when we had the referendum and since, the Remainers paint the European Union to be this stable structure, unchanging. And we always said, well, hang on, how do you know what kind of European Union we're going to be in a few years' time? I, for a decade, have been saying it will become a fully militarised European Union, and we should be concerned. We've heard Juncker rattling on about this. We've heard Macron last week saying this. Well, today, the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, came to the European Parliament and said something I'd never heard before.
We have to create a European intervention force so that we can tackle issues immediately on the ground. We have already achieved cooperation in the military sphere. That is good, and we are going to continue to support this. But what we should do, and this is really important if we look at the developments of the past years, we have to work on a vision of one day creating a real, true European army.
A real, true European army, this was my reaction. It's a European Union that we're told is now to become an empire, a militarised European Union, an undemocratic European Union, a European Union that seeks to continually expand to the east, a European Union that has launched a new Cold War against the United States of America, a European Union that tries to rewrite history. And I think 100 years on from the armistice, we should be genuinely worried. The idea that this new militarised union is somehow a recipe for peace, I suggest you all sit back and think a little bit more carefully. Well, that's how I feel about it. I think it's very dangerous indeed. And let's just remind ourselves. The other thing, you know, Remainers saying, oh, you know, our vision is easy. We know where we're going to be, unlike Leavers. Also, they're now saying that the Leavers lied because Boris put a number on the side of the bus. How about this from Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg in 2014 responding to me when I talked about the creation of an EU army?
This is a dangerous fantasy.
The idea that there's going to be a European Air Force, a European Army, it is simply not true. The problem with people like Nigel Farage is they swing at windmills. They see conspiracies everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Nigel Farage soon tells us that the moon landing was a fake, that Barack Obama isn't American, that Elvis isn't dead. You know, it is not going to happen.
Well, there we go. There was the Deputy Prime Minister. And, of course, they've all been denying it, but here it is. Now, if the German Chancellor says it is happening because she is the boss. The Germans now run the European project. And I mentioned there this new Cold War. Verhofstadt today saying we may well face a threat from America. Macron, we may well face a threat from America. Relations between the EU and America deteriorating, and with them, the prospect of NATO staying as a viable organisation. And Trump, of course, if you poke Trump with a stick, you know, he is actually going to respond. He said on Twitter today, Emmanuel Macron suggests building its own army to protect Europe against the US, China and Russia. But it was Germany in World Wars I and II. How did that work out for France? They were starting to learn German in Paris before the US came along. Pay for NATO or we're out. Well, this is not good. On any level, this is not good. And I would suggest, for those that would love to force us into a second referendum, as soon as people see this prospect of a European army, we'd go in the opposite direction. Back to Mrs May's deal. I think it's the worst deal in history, but hey, tell me I'm wrong. Please, Lucy, a new caller from High Wycombe. Good evening, Lucy.
Hi, hello there. Hi, I've got two questions for you. It is obviously related to the, the deal and Brexit, but it's maybe not so on the surface as, the question with the EU army, etc. I wondered firstly if the amended version of the Antarctic regulations to now include the Isle of Man being released today also had anything to do with the deal that was coming out today. And
waiting for bags of detail legally, Lucy. Go on. Yeah.
My second question is the mass concern that there seems to be at the moment. Obviously, it's on social media because the mainstream media don't like to, advise people of what's actually really taking place as well. But it's the mass interest in what's gone on and still continuing to go on with the no investigation having gone into 788 to 790 Finchley Road.
No, Lucy, we haven't got time for all that. We haven't got time for all that. Let me ask you very quickly. Do you think Mrs May's done a good job or not?
No, not at all. But I say, there's things that are going on underneath the surface that people need to
Well, of course there are. There's loads going on, and some of it's going on in the Cabinet Room right now. I'm going to run on to Wembley and speak to Wahid, a new caller. Wahid, has she done the best she could in the circumstances, or is it the worst deal in history?
Good evening, Nigel. I have to say that this is the worst capitulation in British history. It is not a deal. It is literally tying both our hands back and throwing us into the Atlantic Ocean. I can't, I'm fuming literally at this point in time. Theresa May had so many hands to play throughout the 2 years that she's been negotiating. She chose to literally use none of those hands, and has given ground to the European Union at every opportunity. How can you send this lady in to negotiate? She's an absolute disgrace to the country. I'm sorry.
Do you think, Wahid, when Angela Merkel today said the UK has shown us via Theresa May that they want to stay part of Europe, that's perhaps the clue, isn't it, really?
Well, that's exactly right. She just called it as it is. She actually said that this, she is a, diehard Remainer. And why is she at helm? Why is she at helm of this ship? She voted Remain. The Prime Minister from the start should have been a Brexiteer.
Goodness only knows. Now, Jacob Rees-Mogg says she hasn't so much struck a deal as surrendered to Brussels. The UK will be a slave state. Is that over the top, Wahid, or would you endorse that?
No, absolutely not. He's spot on the money there. I mean, there is absolutely nothing to say. This indefinite, and I use the term very, very loosely, indefinite period could go on for years, absolutely years.
Yeah. You sound really angry, Wahid. You sound really angry.
I've just come from a hard day's work at teaching in the classroom, and now I've just got to face this. It's just, it's absolutely ridiculous. But this whole thing, I mean, Nigel, truthfully speaking, if the Remainers can mobilise, so can we. We have over 17 million people on our side. Much of these governments, we need to mobilise against this.
Let's hope, Wahid.
I don't see the MPs doing it. I don't see the MPs doing it.
This is what I think, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're wrong, and I hope she's in for the shock of her life with the Cabinet tomorrow. I just don't believe it, because history says that. Wahid, thank you very much indeed. David in Glasgow says, I, like most Brexiteers, have lived and breathed Brexit over the last 2.5 years, and this news is the worst possible scenario. Shirley in Manchester says, where do we go now to save Brexit? Well, the Cabinet Ministers could save us tonight. It was Nick Watt from Newsnight saying in 1990 they told Mrs Thatcher she couldn't continue and she was gone. Let's see what happens. I could be wrong, just think they like to put their careers first, but maybe I've become old and cynical. I don't know. Adam is a new caller from Hayes. Good evening, Adam.
Good evening to you, sir. I'm embarrassed to call myself British, if I'll be honest about this. I actually voted to remain based on the impact it had on the financial markets in the city and my perception of the information I was getting at the time. And the way things have changed and panned out since this government has tried to get us to leave, I think we're being led to leave by a government who actually want to remain, and they've played this all along. That's my view on it. And I think really we need a strong government to say, you know what, we're not going to bend over and capitulate. We are leaving, hard Brexit. We're not afraid to be on our own. We're an island nation, and we're going to show you what we're made of. And I think that's what we need. And I think we need that kind of leadership.
So in order to get that, Adam, we would need to get rid of Theresa May, wouldn't we?
Oh, I think her time's numbered. She kind of was a scapegoat anyway, taking the role anyway. It wasn't a job that anyone wanted. All the people like Boris Johnson, he disappeared into the background. He's the one who should have stepped forward for the Conservatives, I feel, to lead it. He's stepping up today and becoming vocal again. But I think really we need to show our mustard and show that, it's important that we are good at what we do. We're good at negotiating.
Do you think, Adam, do you think Boris could be the person to be the right leader?
I think there was a time and a place for it a few months back, but I think because he's let down so many people, like he had the votes of Remainers and he also had the votes of Leavers, I think he was, a very good character and people bought into that personality. And I think because he's not shown his true British colours and stood up and said, look, I'm going to be counted, and you can either, disregard what I'm saying or sack me.
No. Adam, I get it. Thank you very much indeed. Ollie in Brixton says, why is May so scared of a no deal? She always says no deal is better than a bad deal. She'd have 17 million people behind her if she went for that. Well, she was never going to do it. And RTE, the Irish broadcaster, who seem to know everything, are telling us that there has apparently been very close contact in the last couple of days between Irish and EU officials. You bet your life there has been. That comes as no surprise to me at all. And we get the news that the Cabinet meeting will be at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Is the Cabinet going to back the worst deal in history? Or am I wrong about that? If you think I'm wrong, call 0345 6060 973. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show. It's now 6:45 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May's senior ministers are preparing to see her one by one tonight to read through the draft Brexit agreement after Number 10 confirmed a deal's been reached with Brussels. An extra £150,000 is going to be given to the investigation into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. A UK border officer has been convicted over a plot to smuggle nearly £4 million of drugs and guns into the country. LBC weather, heavy rain and strong winds arriving in Northern Ireland and Scotland tonight. Drier though elsewhere, a low of 8 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Jay Louise tonight, and the M1 in Hertfordshire is queuing northbound from Watford at 5 to Hemel Hempstead at 8 after a lorry broke down earlier. The clockwise M25 in Surrey remains down to just 2 lanes at 9 for Leatherhead. It's because of an oil spillage from this morning. The clockwise entry slip road at the junction is also still closed. A serious accident in Kent has closed the coastbound M20 from Aylesford at 5 to 7 at Maidstone. There are queues back onto the M26. And in Warwickshire, there are delays of 45 minutes heading north on the M40 towards an earlier accident near junction 16 for Henley and Arden, although all lanes have reopened.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
It's a very big day in the world of politics, just the day you want an hour-long interview with the Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell. That's what we've got at 8.
Ian Dale on LBC.
Hello, Ian here. Bonjour, everyone.
Hi, it's Claire. Hey, Monica.
Stephen has joined the call.
Morning all, just wanted to say how much I'm looking forward to working with you. Bye.
Stephen has now left the call.
Don't cut your business calls short again. O2 lets you call and text from the UK to the EU at no extra cost. Search O2 Business or visit an O2 shop.
New and upgrading customers only. Standard landlines and mobiles to selected destinations. Caps and terms apply.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Are the alloys standard?
Optional, sir.
Heated front seats and steering wheel?
Available with a cold weather pack?
Sat-nav?
Afraid not.
At Vauxhall, buy a new Corsa Griffin with a whole host of features as standard.
What do I get?
Would you like a coffee?
The Corsa Griffin. All Griffin, no bull. Visit your nearest retailer now. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903. Available at participating retailers only. Limited units while stocks last.
The biggest recorded marrow weighed 8.5 stone. You'd need a strong wheelbarrow for that. For a bit of veg, it's big. But it's not Euro Millions big. This Tuesday, it's a huge £32 million jackpot. Euro Millions, amazing starts here.
Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
When you give a bunch of flowers, you want that person to feel like they are the star. They're really special.
Zingflowers.com. Amazing every time.
A good summer. Finally. When your kids go to bed. Oh, finally. Making a profit. Finally. A business bank doing something different. Finally. Like giving cash back on your business account. Introducing the new Santander 123 Business Current account. Finally, a proper reason to switch. Cashback up to £300 annually on credit turnover. Monthly fee £12.50 for UK-based companies with up to 2 directors, owners or partners. 18 plus T's and C's apply.
If you want to succeed, don't just dream. Make your mark. Make some noise. Make a name for yourself. Make your idea real. And the best way to start? Make your own website. With GoDaddy Website Builder, you can build your own website in under an hour. Just type in your idea, choose a template and publish, even from your mobile phone. That's how you make your idea a reality. Start making your own way. Try Website Builder for free at godaddy.co.uk.
When you need to nail your next perfect profile picture or binge every box set ever box, stream every hit since music began.
Then you need the latest generation of iPhone on Vodafone. Get it now with 100 gig of data on our best ever 4G network. The future's exciting. Ready? Vodafone. 100 gig data on selected plans. Terms and exclusions apply. Visit vodafone.co.uk/100GB data.
The Nigel Farage Show, live from Strasbourg, only on LBC.
The Cabinet will meet at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to approve or otherwise the deal that Mrs May has finally struck in Brussels today. Is it the worst deal in history? Well, I'll tell you what it does do. It makes sure that we stay living for many years to come, perhaps indefinitely, under EU rules, with all the new rules they make applying to us and us having absolutely zero say. This is not what we voted for. It couldn't be clearer. Jamie in Twickenham says, your caller says he's embarrassed to be British. I passed that point months ago. I'm ashamed to be British. May must go. Let's save this once great country. There is a lot of actual genuine anger out there. Keith in Lewisham says the PM is a disgrace. The Cabinet should remove it tonight. No ifs, no buts. If they don't, they will be electorally punished. I think punished, Keith, is an understatement. But I know, I've had one of you on so far. I'm sure there are many of you think she's perhaps done the best she can in the circumstances. Let me know. I'm off to Mark, a new caller from Oldham. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Nigel. How are you doing? You okay?
Well, I'm not very happy, Mark, you know. But there we are. What do you think?
I appreciate your stance. Well, I mean, in terms of the overall negotiations, it's been a shambles from start to finish. We showed our cards too early to Brussels, but I mean, I think she's done the best of what she can do. I think if you look at it from a negotiation point of view, the European Union are far bigger. We're a third of the income to the union. I think, we're never going to get the Brexit that we saw after first up. We need to, I think for the short term, as well with businesses up and down the country with the uncertainty of Brexit, I think at this moment in time, I don't think the UK is ready for a hard Brexit. I think it needs to be done over a period of time. I think we need.
How long, Mark? How long? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I believe we should be ready in 18 months minimum. We need. I think a lot of businesses are. I wouldn't say frightened, but I think they're that uncertain of where they're going to be if it was a hard Brexit, then I can hear you saying. I can hear you.
No, Mark. Listen, I do understand the argument you're making, and I do understand that particularly people who are doing very well business-wise just happy to keep things as they are. But let me put this to you, Mark. Let me put this to you. We voted for this in the middle of 2016. On the current course, it will be at least 2022 before anything like the things we voted for gets delivered. Surely, whatever you talk of economic uncertainty, democratically, that's an unacceptably long period of time.
It is. I agree with you there. It's unacceptable. But I think we've been dithering with the negotiations for such a long period of time now that I think it's the British public. I still think deep down that this is not going to happen. And I think over the last 2 years, I don't think the country itself has been getting itself ready because there's no clear plan in place
and no leadership. So it's the best of a bad job, Mark, is it? Really?
It's going to have to. Well, it's going to have to be. I think personally, what should happen is we should review the plan tomorrow, and then probably have this conversation again sometime and see. Because and see how economically.
We'd love, Mark. We'd love to hear from you again. All right, because you are approaching this in a very even-handed way. Thank you. I'm off to Southampton to speak to Simon, another new caller. Simon, what do you make of May's deal today?
Utterly atrocious, in a word, really. But I think that this deal is the only deal that was going to come out. It's never going to be a good deal. I think Theresa May should be removed from office with immediate effect or as soon as possible. And I've been dead set against a second referendum, people's vote, whatever you want to call it, up until this point, because I think this needs to go to the people and to be voted down and for us to just walk away.
Sorry, Simon, are you saying you think we need another referendum just to sort of finish this off once and for all?
Yeah, I'm a Remainer, and I want to vote on deal or no deal, and it has to be a binary, because we've already had the binary in out. I lost. We need to suck it up, get on with it, and we've made a massive hash of this, so it needs to be deal or no deal. Get Noel Edmonds involved. Let's get the banker. Let's get him to say deal or no deal. Yep. And the country needs to vote no deal, because, as Jacob Rees-Mogg said earlier, we're going to be a slave to the EU.
Fascinating.
And as Boris has said, we're going to be a vassal state. This is horrendous.
You are the second Remainer tonight to come on and say similar things. Simon, thank you. And it's interesting, isn't it? There are some people who now think we need a second referendum. I'm not one of them, but there are some. Andrew is a new caller from Grays. Hi there, how are you?
Hi there, Nigel. Very, very good to talk to you, and congratulations on your powerhouse performance in the Parliament today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well,
I would just like to say that my view of what you've said as regards the, whether this is an extremely bad deal. We haven't seen the details, I don't think, but I think we can assume that it will be. This is going to be a civil service Brexit, isn't it? It's going to be effectively Remain, or the means to remain, the means to return at some later date. And my feeling is that they actually don't care that Corbyn will follow this, because they calculate that the EU will control him. And 3 points spring to my mind. The interesting question that hits first really is, do the Tories actually understand they're going to be wiped out by such a betrayal? The second thing is, what happens in this country generally when at some point in the future we find that we're taking a decision that we don't want to, and the reason given is because the EU says so. And I don't think the question of that bridge has been really foreshadowed at all. And the third thing on a more minor point would be, as to the young people in this country thinking that they want to stay in the EU, as they purportedly have done till now, what are they going to feel when they're conscripted to a European army, potentially serving on the front line in Germany, because Trump, this is outlandish, has walked away from NATO? How will they feel about what has been revealed to be now the underlying plan for a European army?
Andrew. I tell you what, I think Trump won't just walk away. I think they might force him away. Thank you. I've got time for one more caller. Very quickly, Victoria from Lincoln. Hi, Victoria.
Hello, Nigel. Nigel, I'm furious with it, but I'm not surprised because May is a Remainer, always has been, bought and sold most of the politicians. Now, if they're calling for a people's vote, I say we have a people's march. Brexit means Brexit, May must go, and we should have that before the politicians get their rotten, sticky fingers on any more of the negotiations.
OK, Victoria and Lincoln calling for a march. Ursula in Surrey says, guys, you're getting a bit hysterical. This is an implementation period we're talking about. As long as we can get out of it unilaterally, what's the problem? The main thing is we walk out of the door on the 29th. Well, Ursula, even if we do leave the treaty on the 29th, we may well find ourselves wrapped up into so many agreements that we may even find ourselves in a place that in some ways is worse than where we currently are as members of the European Union. I do understand the argument that leaving the treaty is a big, historic thing, but I'm afraid on these terms, the whole thing is unacceptable. I do genuinely believe that this is the worst deal in history. I'm very, very unhappy about it indeed. Well, you've been listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. I'll be back